Good morning, and this is Jamey from Stonemaier Games, and I am joining you today from Stonemaier Games Facebook page. And I'm saying that because you might be watching this on the Tapestry Facebook page, and I've done that for a reason. I've added this Livecast to Tapestry as well because today I'm going to be showing you what the Tapestry rubber board looks like. Yeah, let me do that in a second. For those of you who are on the Tapestry page, I do a weekly live cast on the Stonemaier Games Facebook page for about an hour. I talk to people like Tony and George who've shown up here in the comments already, answer questions that you have about stuff that we have coming up. I talk about Stonemaier Games news, stuff that's happening behind the scenes, and I also, I don't know, just discuss random things. So that's why I'm here today. I'm happy to chat about any topics that you'd like, and my question for you today is, what game that you've been either playing or researching recently are you thinking about a lot? Are you just really excited about? Whether you're playing it or just like kind of trying to figure out what it is. For me, I have two games that I'm just so curious about. I don't know if they're games for me, but I have loved watching videos about them, learning what people are saying about them. And those games are Oathsworn and Stars of Akarios. They just look like fascinating games. Again, I don't know if they're a good fit for me, but they're fascinating for me to watch videos about and watch people talk about. Miles, Michelle, George, I already said hello to. Trudy, Susanna, good morning. Thank you for joining me today. So let me jump right to the reason that I'm sharing this in the Tapestry Facebook group, and that is because I received the sample for the Tapestry rubber mat just the other day. And I'm using the word rubber because that's what it is. I think we usually hear the word neoprene mat. Neoprene is made out of kind of artificial materials. And I'm sure there are some artificial materials in here, but rubber is naturally sourced from trees, and so we try to use rubber mats when we can instead of neoprene. But it has the same look and feel to it. And so I proposed in the Tapestry group a while ago that we were going to make this mat, and the original version of it was essentially just the Tapestry board in neoprene or in rubber form. I may use those words interchangeably by mistake. However, the feedback was people who love Tapestry were looking for one board to hold all Tapestry components. And so that is what we have here. It's double-sided because there are different player counts on either side of the Tapestry board. You can see on this top half, you have places for the, I'm showing you it from behind. Here are the places for masterpiece cards. Some certain landmarks can go over here on the side of the mat. You can see the arch track here. And yes, we did consider a pentagonal shape for the board since there are 5 tracks in the game, but we found that it made the board way too big, way too unwieldy, so we thought it fit better here. So there's the arch track. Let's see over here. Over here, we just have a normal side of the board. Over here, we have places for the tech cards, places for the Tapestry card, places for the landmark cards over here, and a big space over on this side for landmarks that you gain from Tapestry cards, or from tech cards. And then finally, what did I miss? Over here. Over here we have the entire landmark, all the landmarks that you can get from advancement tracks are all lined up at the top of the board right here. So you can put all of your landmarks on the board itself. So I think actually this board might take up less space than all normal Tapestry components because those things can be spread out. They're a bit more modular, but everything is built into this board here. I can say that the printing looks great. The details pop. We made the text a little darker here so you can read the text better on the different tracks. We added a 500 point space because some of you managed to score 500 in Tapestry somehow. What was the last thing? And some of you have been asking, will it accommodate the third expansion that we're working on? As you might have seen from our progress chart, we are well into the process for creating. We're not in production yet, but we're close to getting into production for the third expansion for Tapestry. So we already know what's in that expansion. We know that the stuff in that expansion won't impact this mat. So I guess a little spoiler there is that there is no other track coming out in that expansion. So there's just everything that we have on this mat is still relevant for that expansion. So yeah, that is the mat. George says, are there slots for landmarks for the Tapestry cards? There are. Those 2 floating spots that I showed you at the beginning. Yeah, the stadium and the obelisk. I guess the obelisk comes from one of the space tiles, and there is a space for the space tile. At least there should be. Let's make sure there is. Yeah, here's the space for the space tile, which we put near where you get that tile from the exploration track. Yeah, we put a lot of thought in this, and we used a lot of your feedback to make this possible. I'm showing it to you today. This is the final sample. It has not, or it is like entering production right now. So it should probably be available much later in 2022, maybe the beginning of 2023. Yeah, just wanted to show that to you today. Feel free to leave. That's the last like Tapestry related news that I have for you today. Feel free to head on out if you are just here for the Tapestry reveal. But yeah, I'm also happy to answer any other questions related to it. Let's see if I'm missing any questions over here. Tony says, how does the rubber mat come for shelving? Is there a storage tube for it? Yes, yeah, it'll ship in a cardboard storage tube, and you can hopefully slide that into your shelf. I think rubber and neoprene mats that are big like this are kind of tough to store. There isn't a great way to do it. I've seen some shelves that have slots where you can slide in the cardboard tubes. I put the cardboard tubes. Actually, I have them some in my closet here. I have a few of them there. There isn't a great way to store it, but there is a cardboard tube for you to store it in if you'd like. Tom says, is this being released soon? We're looking at end of 2022, early 2023. So we haven't entered production on it, Tom. We're entering production on it right now. This is the first sample that we needed to approve before we could enter production. Production usually takes around 3 months, freight shipping another month or so. Yeah, so that is the fun visual reveal today. So what have I been working on? Actually, just this morning, I was working on a play test of a product that I'm working on. Walter, one of my cats, has been waking me up earlier and earlier. And so today, Walter woke me up at 5:50 in the morning. And so I've been up for over 3 hours already. Plenty of time to work in the morning when Walter wakes me up that early. I'm trying to train him maybe not to do that so much because I'd rather wake up around 6:30 or 7. But he screams and screams if I don't get out of bed when he's ready, which was 6 o'clock for a few weeks, and now it's 5:50. I'm worried that he's just going earlier and earlier, and I don't really know why. Do any of you have cats who have done that to you, and have you figured out what's going on with them? Dusty from the Mill is joining us today. Nate says, sounds like an April 1st store idea. Good neoprene rubber mat storage solution. Could be. It's a little bit outside of our wheelhouse, but we do, I guess, have a few neoprene mats at this point. We sell them for, although the Wingspan and the Red Rising one, those are very small. Those actually fit into the box. It's these big mats that need to curl up that are a little bit more difficult. Miles says that his dog Bento also woke him up around 5:50 this morning, way too early. Tom has the same experience here. I'm sorry that you all are sharing this terrible thing with me here, but I appreciate you relating to it. So yeah, I'm working on a design right now. It's literally like behind me, or not this way behind me, but in front of me, behind a wall here. That's going really well. Taking lots of notes as usual for a playtest, kind of doing a solo playtest for this product right now. That's going well. And this week I also did some playtesting this weekend for another game. So a lot of playtesting time happening right now. Had some very busy, productive days earlier this week, including a day where I sent out play and win copies for conventions and review copies to reviewers. Dusty says maybe you should wake Walter up while he's napping all day to tire him out. That is not a bad idea. I might need to do that a little bit. Just kind of wear him out during the day so he doesn't wake up so early. I can certainly try doing that. He's fun to play with. Josh says, did you have any thoughts on the Moonrakers Kickstarter? Moonrakers is a deck building game that I've only played once. I really enjoyed my first play of it. The Kickstarter looks really well put together. And I thought, Josh, they did something really interesting. I made a note about it. I'm forgetting it right now. What was the thing they did? Oh, they're doing something called showdowns on the campaign, which I think is really cool, where they have these foil cards, and every day they pit two different cards, normal non-foil cards, against one another, and I believe people are voting on which card will be the next foil card that's added, and the other one gets kicked off and maybe added later for a foil possibility. I think it's a really cool idea. This is something I talked about in my blog a long time ago when I went to a restaurant that does this with burgers. So they have a burger showdown every month, and whichever of the two burgers gets ordered more remains the burger of the month until the next month, and then a new burger is brought in. I love the concept of showdowns. I've rarely seen it pulled off in the tabletop space or the crowdfunding space, and so I'm excited to see Moonrakers giving that a try. If any of you have seen, I want to do a post about this. So if any of you have seen the showdown concept used in the past, I'm pretty sure there might have been Actually, no, I have seen stretch goal showdowns where people choose like which goal they want to activate next, which I think is cool. But I love that the Moonrakers thing is immediately impacting the product. It's immediately making the product better when one of those showdowns is complete. Yeah, I would say better. You're making a foil card and they look really cool in Moonrakers. What else is going on? Some games that I played recently. Played Living Forest with Megan this past weekend. Played some Marvel Dice Throne with Megan this past weekend. We pitted Captain Marvel against Black Panther. I lost as Black Panther in that game. And we also pitted Scarlet Witch against Doctor Strange, and I also lost that game as Doctor Strange. So we're kind of doing a small bracketed tournament here. And the final matchup in the first round will be Black Widow versus Spider-Man. So we'll see who wins that matchup. Having fun with that. I also played Bora Bora for the first time last week. I may have mentioned that last week. And at game night, virtual game night last week, we played Ink and Gold and Century Spice Road on Board Game Arena and had fun with both of them. What have you all been playing recently? And again, in case you're coming late, the question I posed earlier was, what game that you maybe game that you don't own but that you're curious about have you been researching a lot lately to learn more about, or just have you been fascinated about in general? Josh says that he's also enjoying the Moonrakers campaign, and he enjoys how they're running their campaign in general. Yeah, I think the team at Ivy Games run great Kickstarter campaigns, great crowdfunding campaigns in general. I think they had one in GameFound a few months ago. Nathan says, how have you been enjoying Marvel Dice Throne? Yeah, we've been enjoying the head-to-head matchups in Marvel Dice Throne. He says his wife and him split victories in 2 matches between Scarlet Witch and Spider-Man, and we have Thor versus Captain Marvel set up on the table for tonight. That's a good matchup. Thematically, I think that's a great matchup. Yeah, we're kind of doing this bracketed thing, Nathan, where we have 4 different matchups in the first round, and then we have eventually we'll have 4 different characters that advance to the next round, and then a final winner between the last 2. So right now we have Loki, Scarlet Witch, Captain Marvel, and either Black Widow or Spider-Man will advance until the next round. Julian is fascinated by Beyond the Sun right now. I've been seeing that on Board Game Geek talked about a lot. It's been a while since I played it, but I really enjoyed my first play of Beyond the Sun. Allie says, have I seen the video game Stray? I actually just sent that to a friend the other day who plays a lot of video games. Allie says, you play as a cat trying to find its way in a cyberpunk-esque world. It's getting great reviews. I think you would enjoy seeing some videos or playing it. Yeah, I did watch a video from Skill Up. I like the Skill Up video game review channel. He did a great review on Stray just the other day, and I sent that review to a friend who plays a lot of video games. I actually did play some I'll call them video games, but they feel like tabletop games in the digital space. I played over the weekend. I played Inscription, and I played Dicey Dungeons. I think, Allie, you and Garrett may have recommended Dicey Dungeons to me. I think I got that from the Stonemaier Games Discord group somewhere. I had a lot of fun with that, and I had a lot of fun playing about an hour or so of Inscription as well. I didn't commit too much time to either one, but I wanted to play them, learn from them, have fun with them, and both were really, really cool. I will definitely return to both of them when I have that feel, when I'm in the mood for like a Slay the Spire style game. I thought both are really good. George says, have you seen the Park's second expansion pre-order from last week? It's available only in the U.S. for pre-order, although they make it public to sign up for a pre-order notification worldwide, which is pointless for people outside the U.S. Also, they gave some exclusive stuff for this. What do you think? George, I'd have to dig a little deeper. Generally, I don't like exclusives, as you know, but sometimes people use that exclusive label where it's really the type of thing that isn't actually exclusive. It's actually just a promo that you can order in the future. So if it's actually exclusive, generally not a fan of that. As for why it's not a pre-order worldwide, that is a little interesting. Although, okay, so you're saying it's only available in the U.S., but anyone can sign up, which is a little frustrating. So you've signed up for a pre-order notification, but it isn't actually available to you. So yeah, I think in that case, I think companies need to make the choice that's right for them in terms of fulfillment and shipping, but they probably should have made that clear up front if that was the case. But I need to dig deeper into that. I haven't seen that pre-order. Susanna says that she taught the kids Siege of Rundar last night. This is a game that Susanna, I remember, really enjoyed playing at Geekway to the west. She says, and they loved it. So fun to be rolling dice and fighting orcs. Not our usual type of game. They were standing up and cheering. Wow, I love those moments in games, Susanna. When you're standing up and cheering. I need to play this game. You've raved about it now, and I'm so curious. Yeah, I'm definitely curious about that now. To see if I have the same reaction to it. Tom says he played a little game called Libertalia last weekend, getting lots of plays in of Arnak and Space Base on Board Game Arena. I love those two games. If you there's an interesting podcast or a podcast episode on Decision Space. If you listen to the Decision Space podcast, they talked about Space Base a few weeks ago, and I love Space Base, but it was really interesting to hear their perspective on the decision space in Space Base. Check that out if you're interested. And which Libertalia did you play? Did you play the Libertalia that's on Board Game Arena, or did you play the new version that we released? I'm still trying to get Board Game Arena to add the new version of Libertalia to Board Game Arena, but they haven't done that yet. Josh said that he played Isle of Cats for the first time. It's a really good polyomino game. Oh yeah, I love Isle of Cats. In fact, I have a video coming up very soon. Is it this weekend? Let's see. My upcoming Sunday video this weekend. Actually, this weekend it's about another podcast. The Covenant Cast has done a series called The Power 7, and so I have a video about that. But the next week after that is my top 10 favorite games with cats. And you can probably guess that Isle of Cats is going to appear on that list because I love cats. I love Isle of Cats, and I have a top 10 list now for that. My Sunday video this past weekend was about the Gamers Ranch, a kind of a vacation property that's filled with over 2,000 modern hobby games that I attended, that I kind of hosted an event at a few weeks ago with some friends. And I played 15 different games there, 10 of which were new to me, and I ranked those 10 games on last Sunday's video, which was fun. Had a fun time ranking and playing those games. And my blog post recently, actually I did 2 guest posts this week, which I really don't do, but one project is ending soon, and the other one started just yesterday. I don't promote projects, but when I do a guest post, I know people put a lot of work into them, so I try to align them with the campaigns themselves. One was about a game called Bog Chawl, which is a pay-what-you-want campaign that's live right now on Kickstarter. I haven't seen that concept in a long time, and so I wanted to talk about it on the blog. And today I posted, normally I wait till Thursday, but this campaign launched yesterday, so I posted a little bit early today about a campaign called Paragons and how they built the game from the art up, which I always think is an interesting way to go for game design. It's something that I've tried a little bit, letting the art inform the mechanisms of a game. And so there's a post a little bit about that topic today. And last Thursday, what was last Thursday's post? Last Thursday I posted about consuming content. How different people consume content. And the thing that I just started doing recently, in case you were one of the people who likes to listen to things instead of watching live or reading, is that I've started recording audio for all of my my blog post, my Stonemaier Games blog post. So there's an audio version of that now. You can find the podcast listed on our website. And previously, it just included these Facebook Livecasts and my long form Sunday videos. But we're now adding this audio of me just reading a blog post to you. Usually it takes around 4 to 10 minutes, depending on the length of the post. So just doing right now to hopefully make my content more accessible to people in the way that you want to consume it. So hopefully that's helpful for you. Let me know what you think about that. Do you use podcasts for certain times, certain reasons, versus video versus reading? What's your preferred way to consume different types of content? Naziz says, good morning. I wanted to ask if you knew any games that have hidden election mechanisms, like a player is eliminated but nobody knows who voted for them, unlike, for example, Secret Hitler or other social deduction games. Hidden election. So the thing that comes to mind when you say that, and this isn't quite what you said there. Actually, no, there is a game. I'm blanking on the name of it. There was a game that came out last year, and it did involve elections. I can't remember if they were secret or not, and I'm completely blanking on the name, so I can't help you there. But the game that I thought of was Unfathomable and Battlestar Galactica. It's not a secret voting mechanism exactly, but it is secret. It's like a secret skill test where all players know they have a skill test they're trying to accomplish, and you are contributing cards in secret to it. Players can see the number of cards you're putting in, but not the types of skills on those cards. And then you shuffle up all those cards and reveal whether or not you collectively pass the skill test or not. So not exactly what you're saying, but definitely worth researching Battlestar Galactica and its successor, Unfathomable, to see how they do it in that game. Michelle says that she's been playing a lot of Monster Expedition with her son a lot lately. She says, I don't win much, but I still enjoy the game. I haven't heard of that one. Yeah, what's your favorite thing about Monster Expedition, Michelle? Dusty says there's a new video game that you and Megan have to try. Actually, someone else just mentioned the game called Stray. It does look really cool. It's the type of game, I'll be honest, it's the type of game that I don't normally play, and maybe I should make an exception for because I love cats. But it looks a little bit outside of my wheelhouse for the types of games that I'm able to play on the computer. I'm not very experienced in digital games, but what I'm getting at is it's the type of game that I think I'd love watching someone else play, like a friend play, and that's why I recommended it to a friend who does play that style of game quite a bit. But maybe I'll just need to try it. Okay, Michael says that he's been playing a lot of Ark Nova and recently broke out Vegas Showdown, and he's eagerly awaiting his copy of Ultimate Railroads. And Corey says, yeah, Corey had a fun weekend, it looks like, at CharCon in Charleston, West Virginia. He played Helsinki, which is coming to Kickstarter in a few weeks. He had an advanced copy there. Copenhagen, Scythe, Australia, Spicy Dice, Crossed Words, Alhambra, Clank and Space, Witchstone, and Buried Treasures. Lots of games there. And looks like he won a lot of those games in play-and-wins and raffles there, too. You know, one thing, Corey, I'm curious about this. So one thing that Geekway does that I think is really smart is that each person can only win one play and win game. I think they learned from experiences where some people just got a little bit lucky and won like 4 games, and people who didn't win any kind of felt bad when they saw that happening. So I'm curious if your convention, CharCon, didn't have that policy. Were people able to win more than one play and win game, or did they have that limitation? I generally recommend that limitation for conventions that use the play and win system. Tom says that he did play the new version of Libertalia in person, our version of it. And he says, definitely need to check out the Decision Space podcast. Just hit top 10 on Board Game Arena for Space Base, so would love to dive deeper. Oh, cool. Yeah. I think you might find it interesting. Congrats on getting top 10 on Board Game Arena and Space Base. That's awesome. Tom says, I'm curious about audio-only content for board games. I'm personally invested in video content, but I wonder how much of my content I could cut out in an audio format. Yeah, it's an interesting thing about videos, because there certainly are videos that I listen to. Like they're on my screen kind of, but I'm not really watching what's happening. I'm just kind of listening in the background. And so I think it is an interesting format, but I don't always necessarily think that you need to cut anything for it. Like you can just convert a YouTube video to audio and make it available to those who want to download it on their podcast systems like Spotify. So I think sometimes it's just making different forms of the content accessible in those different ways, even though it's the work that you put in is the same either way. You've created the video, you just have to figure out how to export it as an MP3, for example, which is at least what we're doing for this type of video. When it appears on podcast form, that's what we're doing with it. And the Sunday videos, the long form videos that I post on Sunday. Joel is here today. Mark just popped in today. Mark is helping us playtest some new promo realms for Rolling Realms. And actually, one little reveal there. Last week, I played game 30 of Rolling Realms, the live play of it. And if you happen to tune in for the third game, you might have seen at the end that I spoiled one of the Rolling Realms promo packs that we've been working on that is complete and that we'll be selling probably sometime in 2022. I didn't exactly say when. But that promo pack, I'll just say it now. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't show it to you. But that promo pack is a Feast for Odin. So we will have a Feast for Odin realm for Rolling Realms coming out later this year. Really excited about that. It's a great realm. Michael says that his wife and him just opened Quacks of Quedlinburg, one of my favorite games. He says it was sitting on our shelf for a long time, definitely in our top 10 games of all time. We also, I love Quacks. We also started playing Rolling Realms with you through your live plays. So that's wonderful. Thank you for joining me for those, Michael. I think I've seen you posting your scores. So that's fun to know that you're joining along. He says, we just finished the first 3 rounds. We hope to catch up with the actual live play soon. We still have 29 games to catch up. You really can jump around there. You don't have to play that. There's no order to them. Feel free to always join me live if you see me live. The next live one will probably be not next week. I think I need to give it a little break after game 30. But the first week of August, I think, is when I'll do the next one. Oh, and this Thursday, I do have tomorrow. I almost forgot about that. I do have, let me make sure I put it on my calendar. Yeah, I do have another book club tomorrow. So book club tomorrow is about chapter 7. It'll be here at, what did I say, 3 o'clock? Yeah, 3 o'clock tomorrow, chapter 7, which is entitled How to Make Friends and Lose Money. This is chapter 7 of my crowdfunding book. I'm kind of talking about it chapter by chapter in live format with people contributing, asking questions, answering questions, and bringing it kind of up to date for this book that I wrote back in 2014, bringing it up to date for 2022. That's been fun to do. So tomorrow, Thursday, is when I'll be doing the next one. Mark says that he pledged to support Bag Chow after he saw it on my blog. That's awesome, Mark. Thanks for supporting that project. George says games that he's excited about are Carnegie and John Company. He says, how can we get access to your new podcast, Jamey? They're all on the same podcast stream. You can search, I think the title for it is Stonemeyer Streams. And so you can search for that on Spotify. It's on Apple. It's on Podbean. But the link to it is on our website. You can get that link on our website. It's under, let's see where it is on our website. I believe it's under news. Yeah, under news is the podcast. Big Dan is here. It's been a while since I've seen it, Dan. He says, a little late tuning in, but happy to be here. I got Living Forest after seeing you talk about it and really enjoy it, so thanks for the suggestion. I'm glad you give it a try. I've really been enjoying it. It won one of the big gaming awards this past weekend. We played it. I played it in person once and played it on Board Game Arena a couple times. Megan won in a very close game, just with a tiebreaker. I think it's a game that often comes out of the tiebreaker. But I'm glad you're enjoying it. I've been having fun with Living Forest as well. In fact, Michael just mentioned Quacks earlier. If you enjoy Quacks, I think you will also enjoy Living Forest. They have a very similar feel. Okay, Michelle says that she's been playing Monster Expedition. I asked what it is, and she says it's a dice rolling push your luck type of game. I love push your luck. Love to hear that. She says depending on what you roll, you can capture monsters or upgrade a camp to increase your dice pool. Very satisfying. Even if you don't roll what you want, you can usually still do something. That's really cool. I love the idea if you kind of bust in a push your luck game that you still get something out of it. That's great to hear. I like that. Aramis says, do you happen to know when the Tapestry expansions will launch on Board Game Arena? I don't know if they will. It's a good question. I don't know if they will. And I have two schools of thought on this. One is it's out of our control. It's in the control of Board Game Arena, whether or not they implement them. So that's part of it. The other part is I wonder if it is strategically wise for us to put expansions on Board Game Arena. Because part of the reason why I like having our games in digital format is A, for people to learn those games, give them a way to learn the games. You don't need the expansion to learn you just need the core game to learn how to play the game. And also, part of it is to motivate people to actually buy the game itself. I understand that some people maybe only play on Board Game Arena, but we put a lot of time and effort into making these physical copies of our games, and so we want to sell them. And so part of it is potentially a little bit of a marketing strategy. We put the game itself, the core game, on Board Game Arena in the hopes that people fall in love with it, buy the core game, and then also buy the expansions. But if you can get everything on Board Game Arena or in the digital formats, seems to me that would significantly decrease your motivation to buy any of the stuff for that game. Let me know if I'm off base here. I'm just kind of talking about this transparently and honestly what I'm thinking about it. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking about right now. That maybe we shouldn't push too hard to put the expansions on there. But I'm open to suggestions. I'm open to feedback about that. Open to learning what's best for the customer. Yeah, I guess I'm always trying to balance like what's putting the customer first. That's always my highest priority, but also maintaining sustainability for us. And I think maybe part of the answer here is that if we ever decided not to reprint an expansion, like if we just said, okay, this one's just going to go out of print forever or for a long time, that would be a great time to put that on Board Game Arena, opposed to when the expansion is still in print and we want people to consider buying the expansion. Just a thought for now. Josh says, I'd love to thank you, Jamey and Corey Clark in the chat. You guys have inspired me to start my own blog, and I'm excited to get off the ground. Well, that's awesome, Josh. Feel free to share the link here or in the future when you have that ready. I encourage people on my posts. I have a post called Start a Blog, and I encourage people to post a link to their first entry or multiple, whatever entry they want in that blog post. Feel free to do it there or in the comments here, Josh, if you get excited to start a blog. Let's see. Okay, I think we're at the end of the comments, so I can just talk about things for a little bit. The book that I'm reading right now was actually recommended on this live cast from Chad. Chad recommended the book Upgrade, and I'm really enjoying that book so far. This is the latest book from an author whose name I'm forgetting, but it's a great book. Just came out called Upgrade about someone who I don't want to spoil anything, but his DNA starts changing and kind of forcing him to evolve a little bit. It's a really, really interesting book. Stuff I'm watching right now, I'm raving about the show The Rehearsal that features Nathan Fielder. It's a really interesting concept. The idea is he helps people rehearse for big moments in their lives, things that maybe they've been worried about, that they've been anxious about. He helps them rehearse it, and he goes to the extreme in helping them rehearse those moments. For example, in the first episode, there's someone who wants to make a confession to a friend in a specific bar. And so Nathan Fielder and his crew recreate this bar on their set. And they recreate even like the smallest tiny little details. And that's where the comedy comes in through the show, because he didn't need to create all those little details, but he does. And he hires actors to kind of play through the scenario multiple times to help this person rehearse for this key moment. And it's this really nice mix between somewhat outlandish, over-the-top humor and also someone genuinely trying to help out another human being who is struggling with something. My whole motivation for running Stonemaier Games is to bring joy to people, and so that connects with me in a huge way of adding value to other people and bringing joy to them and helping them through tough times. And so, if that resonates with you, I highly recommend this show. It's called The Rehearsal. It does have some awkward kind of cringe style humor, but I don't know. You kind of have to watch it to see if the style of cringe fits with you and if it doesn't. It's on HBO Max. There's only one episode out so far. Highly recommend The Rehearsal. We're also watching the new season of The Orville, which is a little bit more serious than previous seasons, but we're really enjoying it so far. And Only Murders in the Building, the new season of Only Murders in the Building, definitely has us guessing so far with lots of different clues and red herrings. We don't know what's going on, but we're enjoying it. Okay, Corey has some thoughts about CharCon. He says it was a smaller con, probably 700 or less. Multiple people won multiple games. Even with that, there were some games left over that hadn't gotten cracked open, and I believe they drew from the ones that hadn't won to distribute those. Okay, I think that's a good way to go if you have extra games. The other portion was a fundraising raffle, which you bought tickets for, and you can win anything that you put in. They had games, shirts from old cons, 2-night stays to the Ravenwood Castle in Ohio. I've heard great things about that place. Vendors donated custom items, etc. That's cool. I love play and win more than raffles, but I'm glad you had fun with the raffle. I'm glad you won some stuff in the raffle, Corey. The Excel Gamer is just popping in now. He says, wondering on thoughts, opinions on the Kickstarter so far. I love all the expansions that they have to concentrate on a specific aspect of the game. Also, the addition of the Luminor expansion to play fully co-op online is super cool as well. Okay, so this is about the Moonrakers campaign. Something else that they're doing on the Moonrakers campaign is that they have these 3 different expansions that cater to different things that people want. I believe there's a campaign one, a cooperative one, and there's one, I think, for like digital play. I didn't quite fully understand that. I didn't go that deep into it. But that's a cool way to do expansions. Instead of putting all that stuff in one expansion box and having it one size fits all, just saying, okay, if this is something that you've been looking for out of Moonrakers, here it is. You can get just that. And here's just this. That's a really neat format to pursue. Miles says he can't wait for more rehearsal episodes. Me too. If Miles, have you watched Nathan For You? This is Nathan's previous show, Nathan For You. I think you've seen it, Miles. But anyone who watches the rehearsal and wants more of it before they put out more episodes of the rehearsal, I would recommend the show Nathan For You. I would say, even though it's still Nathan trying to help businesses in that case instead of people, there is more awkwardness in it. There's a lot of outlandish awkwardness in Nathan For You, but it still had a good heart to it. So I really enjoy both shows and find both very, very funny so far. Josh says that his Facebook page is Meeple House Games, the website blog coming this weekend. So I'll go you can like it just by hovering over the link. Good job, Facebook. Matt says, I'm excited for Pierce Brown's announcement this Friday. I am very excited for it. I just actually got an email from Pierce the other day. Very nice. He reached out to me about something that we've been kind of working on behind the scenes with Red Rising and struggling with a little bit. due to some stuff that's outside of our control. And he wrote a very nice note, really, really kind of very kind of him to reach out and send this note. And so, yeah, I'm definitely 2 days away from this big announcement about what I assume will be book 6, but I don't really know that. I don't know the secrets. I don't ask Pierce for secrets, even though I do have that line of contact with him. But I'm very curious about it. Michael says, I agree. He's talking about the strategy that we're talking about with digital games and putting expansions on digital platforms. Michael says he agrees with that strategy. By playing a lot of Tapestry on Board Game Arena, I was encouraged to buy the physical expansions because I want to try other civs. So I'm kind of happy to hear that. I don't, yeah. I'm glad to hear that, Michael. Thank you for sharing that. Adam says, okay, what if you sold a digital copy like you have with Scythe? I realize it wouldn't have the same retail cost, but it also doesn't have the manufacturing and logistics cost of a physical copy. So other than development up front and minor upkeep, it seems that you could still expose people to your game at a lower price point and it would be a source of revenue. So I think, let me see if I understand this, Adam. What if you sold a digital copy of the expansion, I think is what he's saying, like you have with Scythe. Digital copy of the expansion. So I think the difference is, Adam, like you're saying, part of it is, it really has to do with Board Game Arena, because Board Game Arena has a subscription format. And we do get paid, I think, based on how many times people are actually playing the games on Board Game Arena. But it's this subscription format, so we're not really getting paid per copy. And if we do, it's cents on the dollar. Like, it's not very much at all. I'm happy to get that little extra check from Board Game Arena every couple months, but it's much smaller than all the time and energy and resources that we put into creating these expansions, especially for Tapestry, which has rather lavish expansions. So it's hard to, I don't know, it's hard to equate the two. But I understand the compulsion eventually, at least at a certain point, to offer digital versions of the expansions. People have certainly been asking that for the Scythe for a long time, which I think so far only has the one expansion. They're taking a long time to add more to Scythe. Maybe I'll check in on that today, do a Scythe digital update, because I haven't heard from them in a while. William says, the rehearsal sounds fascinating and worth checking out, at least interesting. Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out the first episode, I think. Miles says that he has watched Nathan For You, but not all of it. Yeah, I would recommend checking out all of Nathan For You. I think it's worth watching, Miles. Paul says his wife and him just got Brass Birmingham, which is a more strategic game than we would normally go for. We've watched playthroughs and rules videos, and we're really enjoying it. So that's the game that we're thinking about a lot. My question of the day right now is, what game are you thinking about a lot? Whether it's a game you're playing, like Brass Birmingham for Paul, or a game that you're thinking about getting or you're just curious about. And Paul's is Brass Birmingham. He says Concordia was probably the most strategic game we played previously. Love Concordia. Love that card management system. Would you all call that? Would you call Concordia deck building? I can't remember if I actually put it on my deck building list, because it's definitely not traditional deck building, but I think it's also more than just hand management. Somewhere in between. What's the terminology that you use when you think about Concordia? Concordia's mechanism is where you have a bunch of cards in hand, you play a card from your hand, and at a certain point, you refresh all the cards that you've played and they rejoin your hand. So there's no randomness. There's no shuffling. That's the big bonus here. There's no randomness in what cards you have. You have full control over what cards are in your hand at any given time. They're either in your hand or your discard pile. So, yeah, what mechanism do you call that? Dusty says, you get an email from Pierce is really cool. While I know you don't want to ask for secrets, you should ask for an advanced reader copy for the next book. When it's available, given your contribution to sales, you're a prime candidate for an ARC. I probably could, Dusty. I feel a little uncomfortable. Even just the thought of it makes me a little uncomfortable, because I really don't want to ask any favors of Pierce and his team at all. I think they know that I would gladly receive it. That I would gladly receive an ARC to make me start thinking about the expansion or the sequel, whatever we do next quarter, just as a fan of it. I think they know. And so if they, being Pierce and his literary agent, if they want to send it to me, I would gladly receive it and read it in advance. But it's not something I want to ask for or push. Dusty says, I was surprised to see Knights of Unity weren't as involved as I thought, but now that they've taken rights from Asmodee, they've started talking about expansions. I'm very excited. Oh, that's great to hear. I'm glad they're talking about that. It's just it was a big process for them to kind of get the full rights from Asmodee. and then it's taken a long time for them to do what they've called kind of a refresh of the underlying code so they can lay the foundation for the expansions, but maybe they're getting closer there. I'll check in with them and see. Skylar says that they played My Little Scythe with my 5 and 7-year-olds yesterday, and they loved the pie fights. They're already setting up for another game today. It thrills my soul. Oh, I love hearing that. I love hearing that. 5 and 7, that's great that they're already figuring out how to play the game and having fun with it and loving the pie fights. Hopefully they're loving the friendship too. Friendship's an important part of the game, but really glad they're having fun with it. Hobie and his daughter would be happy to hear that. Mark says, I've recently seen a fan content on Tapestry Facebook group, the modular tiles. What are your thoughts on it? Yeah, I did see that post the other day. I commented on it, I think, yesterday. It's a neat approach to Tapestry, to setting up Tapestry. It isn't something that I'm compelled to add to the games that I play. I think it's important to have certain things that are static in games and not have everything be modular, because it adds to setup time. It adds to the decision space, and not necessarily in a good way. I don't want to judge this idea without trying it, but I guess I love what's static in Tapestry, and I love what's variable. What's variable are the cards, the dice, the tiles. The tiles are already a very real factor in it in terms of how they're going out on the board. So and really there is a balance factor already here with the tiles, in that there are no territories on the board that have benefits on them. It gives you a reason to explore before conquering, so that you can potentially roll those dice and gain some benefits that are on the tiles. So there is a design reason behind not having tiles on the board already. But yeah, I welcome any fan creations, especially if they're play tested, and if people want to share it and try it. I love hearing about stuff like that. I think I covered all the topics that I was going to cover today. I talked about the Tapestry rubber game board that we're working on. If you're coming late to this, feel free to go to the beginning of the video where I talk about in detail about what we're doing here with the Tapestry rubber mat. This is an early production copy. We're just starting production now. Talked about how I'm working on some game design, some play testing recently, some really great play tests happening behind the scenes here at Stonemaier Games. Sent out a bunch of reviewer copies the other day, so you'll see some more. I send out review copies all the time of our games, not just our new games, but also some older games, older expansions too, so that people can kind of constantly be reminded about what exists from Stonemaier Games outside of the normal reach of our audience, and also to constantly give people third-party, unbiased opinions about our products, so you can make informed decisions when you buy expansions and games. I've been playing Living Forest, Marvel Dice Throne, Century Spice Road, and Ink and Gold. Some games I've been playing recently. And the book that I'm reading right now is called Upgrade. I think we're finishing a little bit early today, but I don't mind. I have a playtest in progress. I might go over and play a little bit more of that. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll post this over on YouTube if you have any follow-up questions or thoughts. And I will see you probably next week. I have a scheduling conflict next week, but I might try to tune in if I can at maybe a different time next week. We'll see. But yeah, have a great week, great weekend. Hopefully some good game nights between now and then. And take care. Bye.